Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give you guys a quick little tutorial on how to create the graph for the Marble Madness Lab. I am going to click on Create a Blank Spreadsheet in Sheets. Okay, once I do that, okay, it's going to generate a new spreadsheet for me. So you guys are making your own spreadsheet this time. Okay, and then I'm going to start transferring my data from our data table. So the data I need to transfer, I'm going to put in the first column, independent variable. Homework can't spell. Independent variable. The second column, so column B, make sure it's not column C or D or any other column. I have independent variable in A, and column B is going to be our speed in meters per second. Okay, once you have those two columns labeled, okay, I'm really annoyed. This bothers me. I can't see all of independent variable. I'm going to fix that. There are two ways to fix it. Okay, I can come up here to the column between A and B. You guys will see it highlights and I get an arrow. I can hit I hit the button, okay, and I can drag my column to widen it up. Now I can see both independent variable and speed. Another way to do it, I'll show you real quick. If I am clicked on the box independent variable and I go to format, okay, I can hit go down to text wrapping and go to wrap. Now it wraps the word, so it converts it into multiple lines if needed. Okay, so moving along to transferring our data. We had control data, okay, from our experiment, and then we did test number 1, okay, and then we did control, okay, and test number 2. Okay, so that's what we did in most of our classes. Those of you guys that are in the remote class, Mr. Hipley and I, we also did test number 2, but we did, this was our large marble, right? And we did test number 2, and we tested the small marble. Okay, our first test in the remote class was looking at a rough marble compared to the control, which was smooth. Okay, so once you have those columns labeled, like I said, you might only have a control, test 1 and test 2. It kind of depended on which class you were in, kind of how we set it up. But you put your independent variable in the first column, column A. The speed column, I am then going to transfer the speed that I calculated, okay, on that data table that's on our lab sheet. Okay, that calculated speed I'm going to enter here. Okay, please don't use these numbers. Mrs. Ulmer is making these numbers up just so we have something to graph. Okay, so they are not necessarily related to any actual data. Okay, so please do not use these numbers when you go to create your graph. Okay, so here's my data. Okay, so I calculated the speed, I entered the speed. You should go to 1 or 2 decimal places at least. Okay, so then now I have my data in here. I'm going to highlight this data. Okay, I can click on this box and then I can drag and highlight it. I don't like doing that. When I do that, sometimes I move boxes around and so it scares me. I would rather click on independent variable, hold down the shift button, use the down arrow to highlight that whole row, and then use the right arrow to highlight the row next to it. But it's up to you, whichever method you want, as long as you get the 2 columns highlighted and you don't have any extra boxes. Once you have that done, you're going to insert a chart. You can either come up to the top and hit insert, go down to chart, and insert it from there, or you can use the tools that are on the bar. Mine aren't visible. My chart isn't visible right now, so I'm going to click more and then click on insert chart. Okay, now a chart is being generated, okay, using my data. Okay, when I look at this, this is a crazy scatter plot. That is not a good type of graph for this kind of data. I have data that's discrete. That means it's not continuous, right? Lots of times on the x-axis we have time. So it would go from 1 second to 2 seconds to 3 seconds. In that case, we could use a line graph or a line chart. We could use a scatter plot potentially, and there are probably some other types we could use. But because this is discrete data, I'm actually going to go down and I am going to select the column chart. Okay, so the column chart, I select it. Now I have essentially what I would call a bar graph of my data. And there you go. You've got a graph of your data. Hey, now I can take my data. I make sure that the graph is highlighted. It should have a blue box around it. If it doesn't have a blue box around it, I just one click on the graph. Then I Control C copy it, go back to my actual lab document, Control V paste it, or you can go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, whichever one you like to use, or maybe there's other methods too. All right, I hope that helps you guys create your graph. Good luck.